Hello, my name is John Krieger. I'm in Texas right now. Um, my place of residence right now is in Los Angeles. I live like near downtownish. I don't know. I'm saying that. That's not important. Um, a lot of shit in my life has been turned upside down recently, and it started when I went to an event in Chino, California. Because I wanted to investigate a little event that I believe, and still very, very much do, um, believe is a spook operation run by the CIA. And this sounds crazy, and my hope is that someone can one day correct me on this or find out what's really going on. But not only did I think that it was a spook event when I was going there, and I have, I think, very good reasons for believing that it was prior to, but it seems as though since, before, and during, I've been subject to a fear-based PSYOP made to make me tired, try to make me not be able to think clearly by keeping me up, by people chasing me through the night. Well, it was a 3-day event, essentially. And on the first day, I had a guy come up to us, a group of my friends, while we were out just having a couple of drinks. I was just going to have one because I knew I needed to be up early to be awake for the thing the next day. And this guy comes up and just keeps buying our group, round after round. And after a little bit, I woke up and was like, wait a minute. I'm sitting here thinking that someone is going to sabotage me. And here we are, a nice, friendly gentleman, buying us drinks. At first, it seemed kind of normal because we can dance kind of hard. We're kind of the life of the party a little bit. And I'm like, well, that could just be why. So I asked the guy what's up. And he tells me that he's a member of a criminal organization. I don't want to get into specifics because I feel like that just makes things more complicated for my life a little bit. And immediately I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's nice. It's weird that you just come out and tell me that, but that's nice. He asked me where I live in a very kind of threatening way, and I say I live near downtown. He's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, ah, shit, dude, the CIA is going to try and kill me with a criminal organization. And so I tell my friend we need to leave. We drive to my car, and I'm going on my way home, and I want to stop at a nearby Ralph's. All of a sudden, there's a very loud vehicle following behind me, pulls off next to where I'm going. And I notice 2 guys following me in the Ralph's. You could say suspicious looking. It looks like they might belong to a criminal organization by the way they're dressed with all of their attire and tattoos and whatnot. They stand behind me in line to check out with nothing. They're not buying anything. They're just staying there behind me. And I'm like, well, if you guys don't have anything, you guys can go ahead. And they're both like, no, you go. And I'm like, Anyways, I remember they need to grab spoons or something, so I get out of the line and I go buy some spoons. I go back in the line, and they left the line because I left the line. And I'm sitting there in line. A couple more people come behind me, and then they go behind them, so there's like a 2-person gap. I'm like, what the fuck? I buy my stuff, and as I'm heading out, they get out of line and start following with me parallel. And whatever, we have a little altercation with the security guard, me being like, hey, you need to stop following me, and the guard being like, yeah, you guys need to stop following this guy. And they're like, we're not. And then they go their other way, and I get out, and I just start running. I go to my car, and then I wasn't planning on going home. I was just going to plan to drive out in the middle of nowhere to sleep in my car, because I'm like, fuck yeah, these people are following me. And to me, they honestly seemed like bad actors, especially the guy at the club. I'm like, I don't believe you are from where you say you are. for one, because you told me, and that's just like, seems like a rule one of a dumb idea of a thing to do. So, anyways. But then these motherfuckers, even though I'm not heading home, I'm driving by where I live, they follow me and then they turn off in my neighborhood as if they already knew where I was going. And I'm like, okay, well, this is another reason why I know this is bullshit, is because you guys already know where I live, and like you're pretending you're not. You don't. You guys are CIA actors, which is fun. And then, whatever, I find a place to park, and, well, it's more than that. I woke up a couple times in the night and reparked my car, because, like, someone would knock on my window, and I'd be like, ah! And then I would find another place, because at this time I was kind of just like a panicked mess. By the way, before this and leading up to the event, my Instagram and YouTube algorithm just started going completely whack, showing me pictures of demons and murderers. And, you know, one of my fears about going to this event is that there'd be like some sort of shooting, because I figured there'd be a lot of bad eggs in one basket, you know what I mean, with some people who are not very good at doing their job. Essentially, this event that I was going to had a lot of YouTube personalities there that, like I said, are involved with the deep state. The whole thing is a fucking sham. And I was worried that there would be a shooting there to get all their eggs in one basket, because they knew I was going to be there. I was making goofy comments like, fake, spooks, these people are fake, and whatever. So, leading up, I had a bunch of fun videos of, you know, young school shooter teens, you know, hitting targets, you know, right on the head, and someone rolling up a rack, and I'm like, okay, well, at least I know they don't want me to go here, because I wouldn't be receiving these terrifying videos if it was part of the plan for me to go. At the same time, maybe they wouldn't, because I was also posting a lot of stuff saying if I die, it was the CIA, and so that would have looked suspicious. But whatever, there was no shooting at the event anyways. And so for the next couple of days, I had like weird people following me. Prior to the event, I actually had a really funny case of a guy came in, and I was paranoid about them doing something to my family at this point, and this guy came in and told my mom's favorite joke, which I'm like, that's a weird coincidence. And then, you know, I had stopped smoking pot at this time, and he told me a story about how he had a bad psychotic break the moment he the moment he stopped smoking pot, which doesn't make sense to me. And I looked it up on the interwebs, for whatever that's worth, and I can't find anything that says that that would be a common thing to happen. So again, he's just trying to convince me that, oh, maybe the fact that I'm seeing all this crazy stuff is the fact that I've actually stopped smoking pot and become clean of drugs, and now my brain's acting insane. That seems interesting. And then he had a really funny moment. It was actually him and two guys. And I mentioned that, oh yeah, man, I've been kind of like stressed, you know, paranoid, thinking people are following me. And the guy goes, oh yeah, anyone who thinks the CIA is following them has obviously lost their mind. And I'm like, oh, that's funny. I didn't say the CIA, but I did mention that on my Instagram that I think the CIA is after me. That's funny. Now, maybe it's just normal for people who lose their mind and think people are following them, it just was always just the CIA that they assume that it is. But I just thought that was a funny coincidence. And there were some other things about the interaction that were pretty goofy. Anyways, after going to the event, and there was a number of funny things. Like the first thing that happened when I went there, this is before I'd been weird or acting funny or a dick to anyone there. But essentially the way it'd work is there'd be lectures, and you come down and you sit at a table and you guys would eat with a group of folks, and then you'd go back and have more lectures and do this thing called estuary, which they acted like you should know, and you're dumb if you don't know what an estuary is. But no one knows what the fuck estuary is. I've asked a lot of people since, and they're like, what the fuck is that? Is that a horse thing? No, it's not. I don't know what it is. Apparently it's where you sit around in a circle and you share your feelings and talk about why you'd come to something like this. And mine was the only one that was filmed, which made me feel nice. But anyways, so the first time when I first get there and we sit at this dining table and we're sitting around in this circle, the guy looks at me, and this is supposed to be like a religious, like Christian type event. And the guy says to me, "You know, you should be thankful to those who feed you." And I look at him and I say a prayer every time I eat. And the guy goes, "What?" And I go, "I'm thankful to God." And he just kind of looks at me for a second awkwardly, and then gets a call on his phone, like someone was telling him, like, "You fucked up, stop." Because it's a Christian event. Like, you don't think, what wavelength are you on when you're thinking that I'm being a dick to everyone and being weird and unthankful before I've even done anything? And I'm on the wavelength of, oh yeah, I pray to God before I eat. We're at a Christian event, which is really funny that he wouldn't see that. And then he came back down later and made like a really weird, like, smile, essentially pretending to be like, whatever. It's part of a whole bigger part of the theory, just bigger part of my life at this point. One thing I did gather through this event, and the crazy homeless people that were threatening me. By the way, I live in LA and I experience a lot of craziness, but never before have I experienced such a condensed amount of threats from knife-wielding homeless people or bloody-shirted Anton Chigurh type looking characters. Never before has that been so condensed in the amount of threats that seem they're like designed to stop me from sleeping. But one thing I did pick up from the event is because so much of it was creepily designed around me. And so many of the people were so young. You have this idea that a CIA spook is going to be like, I don't know, some guy in his 40s or some, young Russian foreigner, which I did see that. Not at the event, but just outside, people trying to get me to do things that are seem like a bad idea. Traps, But there was a lot of young people my age and slightly younger. And then I had to go back and really think about my recent life and my past. The funny thing is, the CIA, or whatever organization this is, I'm using it as a catch-all term, would have realized that I was going to find out about this little organization even before I did. Because I was on the YouTube just rewatching like these videos like, what the fuck is going on here? These people seem off. This all seems goofy. This seems wrong. And they must have known that. And for other reasons, I also think that, I probably had tabs on my head anyways, just because my family, or my father works in an industry that's in competition with the Chinese, and they want to make sure that secrets don't get leaked. And so I'm convinced I've actually been under, not like incredible surveillance, but they just keep tabs on folks just to make sure that no one's selling secrets or something like that, But they must have known months before I did about this. And then I've thought about my recent life experiences and some of the things that weren't adding up, with people gaslighting me and doing things that didn't make any sense, but now within a much more broader framework. Like, for instance, having some roommates in the past tell me about, sometimes the Instagram algorithm, they'll just fuck up and they'll just show you random things that'll freak you out all the time. Or, I told them, I just kind of let the cat out of the bag. I'm pretty sure that my last two roommates, who were the sons of military families, were spooks before I even realized it. And one of the biggest things was the whole, blatant and obvious gaslighting. Essentially, I was living with three folks, two guys and a girl, and the girl would blatantly flirt with me in front of them, in front of me, more so when it was just me and her. And I felt really bad about it because I definitely had a hand in prolonging that whole situation. It really ate me up inside. And I'd bring it up to them, and their response was essentially, "Shh, no, that's not actually happening. You must be losing your mind," you know. And the reason why that is relevant is because I told them that, you know, before my brother lost his mind, he started thinking that his friends' girlfriends were hitting on them, and that was fucking up their relationships with the guys and everything like that, and so I think they were setting me up to think that I was losing my mind. But anyways, I guess I'm just putting this out as a warning. You know, I don't know who might need to see this, but you know, if you spend a lot of time watching the Jordan Peterson podcast and you're somewhat, you know, you can articulate yourself well-ish. You know, I'm not fucking great, which makes it even more spooked. And I'm like, why are you guys wasting all this time on fucking me? I'm just some guy. Like, what the fuck? You know, like the spook to me ratio is like 40 ratio. It was like 40-1. Now I know they obviously would like recycle a lot of these people, but still. So I guess I just want to say that, you know, if you're a fella who might have their nose in the wrong sorts of podcasts, and you have roommates that are, you know, gaslighting you, like doing things like setting up cameras and then filming you and then being like, hey, I know you were filming me, and they go like, no, what are you talking about? We didn't leave that camera on, even though you saw that it was on. You must be just imagining things. Or one of the other telltale signs were these were young people, and this is going to sound goofy, but they told me that they voted for Trump in 2016 and then switched to voting for Biden, which I've never met an individual in my whole life who has gone through that experience. Normally people go the other way around or just kind of stick the same, you know, but it's pretty rare that you have that sort of flip. I was one of those folks who voted for Clinton in 2016 after a strange event. I'm looking back now, I'm like, that's a little strange. But after a strange event, but whatever, that's a whole other thing. Makes me question my whole past now, all this fucking weird bullshit, which sucks. But I can tell you, you know, I guess be suspicious, and I don't want to make a bunch of people fucking paranoid, but you might want to be suspicious of people who, you know, if you might think you yourself are a person of interest. I don't want to make people paranoid, but this is like inevitably will. If you think you might be a person of interest, you know, I think for my case, a lot of it was, I don't know if I mentioned this a second ago, but, you know, rewatching the same videos, being like, I think I see something here. But if you think yourself might be a person of interest, and, you know, maybe you announce you're going to work somewhere, and then you go work there several months later, you know, pay attention. When do those people who work there start? Did they start around the same time you announced you were going to work there? Did they start at the same time you got a job there? And now are these people trying to sabotage you in weird ways? Because I've had a few incidences of that now. You know, and one thing I can say, and what I mean by this is kind of cryptic. I guess not cryptic, but there's another layer to it. If you do not sin, they cannot harm you. And I do not mean that they can't kill you, because they can, but they won't be able to harm your soul. And it'll be much more difficult for them to catch you up in the first place. And the best we can hope at this point is if they do start doing crazy shit like that, is that the bodies will be built up high enough where they can't keep it a secret anymore. Which will be much easier if you keep a straight head on your shoulders. You know, like what if I actually was involved with the cartel in some way? That'd be very easy to off me. Or what if I was doing, you know, a lot of LSD? Then just have to slip in one of those fucking MK Ultra type deals and I lose my mind for several months, and I could either end up in a drain or just assume that all my theories from then on out were crazy. From then forward were crazy. You know, I'm very blessed that things in my life stopped me from smoking pot during this whole time period. I mean, I smoked pot like once with my brother, and another time with my other brother. But when I did that, it was like, oh shit, dude, I can't be doing this because this is a bad time to be high. But it kept my head clear and kept my mind straight. And, you know, I still fuck up. But, you know, if you're not blackout, they can't kill you. You know, maybe they'll shank you with the random homeless person that they pay. But, you know, at a certain point, you know, hopefully, like, as it seemed to be in the case in my situation, is that the body is built up on the other side, where it's like, wow, you guys are at this point, after I went to the event and, you know, during, it's like you're throwing so many people at me that there's no way you guys are going to keep this ship sealed. You know, anyways, I guess it's a whole deal of treason. But treason against the Constitution is a much bigger deal. And, you know, I'm not a fucking lawyer, but I think there's something in there about the pursuit of happiness and not surrounding your citizens with 40 spooks in order to control what they think and threaten them into submission. Seems like, might be like, I think I can think of a couple of amendments that might be iffy on. The quartering one? I don't know. But yeah, shit. Things are not the way I thought they were in this country. It's all unfortunate. You know, the spooks got me spooked. But I'm just going to live my life and know what I know. And, well, never tell them your next move. Anyways, thanks for listening to this weird thing. Goodbye.